Hey guys, it's Haley and welcome to another bookish video. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. We are here. In this video, I'm going to be reading the entire Throne of Glass series. I'm gonna try not to gush and talk too long in every update clip because I just know that I'm gonna have like 3 hours of footage here, but I am so excited. This is the longest series I've ever read and really the only fantasy series that I've gone into thinking that I'm going to like it. The only other fantasy books I've read are ACOTAR and the Night Circus. ACOTAR I didn't really love until the last couple books. Court of Silver Flames was iconic for me though. It's one of my favorite books of all time. That is why I had any kind of interest in Throne of Glass. I tried out Assassin's Blade to see if I like the world and I would be willing to get into the series. I vlogged my entirety of reading those 5 novellas and that is over on my Patreon. I will link it down below if you want to watch that video. I am now getting into the actual series, like the Throne of Glass series. I cannot express to you enough, I never thought that I would be making this video. Right. Sorry, I just had to go take my pills. Anyway, we're gonna be reading Throne of Glass in this video. I'm already a good chunk in here and I'm loving it so far, so I cannot wait. But yeah, I am not traditionally a fantasy reader. I know that it's like not really my lane or whatever, but here's the thing. I love reading outside of my typical genre. I've been absolutely loving exploring outside of thrillers and horror recently, and I'm so excited to be a little fantasy girly. So I hope the fantasy community accepts me. I hope y'all are not like, we don't want to hear your little thriller girl thoughts on this series, because honestly, I'm just excited to gab with y'all. So I hope you'll be willing to let me gab about it. And I hope you're excited to go on this ride with me because I'm very excited to go on it with you. If you don't know, the Throne of Glass series is following an assassin named Selena, and she is kind of in this hard situation. I don't want to go into all the lore that's covered in Assassin's Blade, but basically she was found as an orphan in the woods on this like icy river, and she was like 8 years old or something like that. This guy who trains assassins found her and raised her to be this like iconic best in the world assassin. But something happened, I'm not gonna again spoil Assassin's Blade, that got her banished basically to these mines, and she was just gonna be tortured working in the mines for life. But now she is of use to the king and this kind of evil empire that's spreading around the land. So she gets pulled out of the mines, and we are following her in this competition to be an assassin again, which is what she was born and bred for. It's what she's phenomenal at, and I'm just so excited to see Miss Selena slay some men and be cool while doing it. The main draw for me for this series is Selena's character. She annoys me so much less than Feyre. Really, she doesn't annoy me at all. I really hate not like other girls' female main characters, and Selena does have a little bit of that because she kind of compares herself to the women of nobility and is like, you know, I'm not like them. I actually have thoughts in my head. But to me, that just like kind of sets her apart in a way of like intelligence. Like, she's awake, she is aware of the political systems and the inherent corruption where the rest of the noble women really aren't. But it's never annoying in the way that she's like dogging on other women for their appearance. She actually always admires the nobility women's like their appearance, which I really like, that they're not dragging each other down in these books. It feels much more empowering. And Selena also has a different side to her that's not just like this ruthless fighting assassin. She also loves clothes, she loves luxury, she loves looking her best. Like, she's very much a girl's girl. She's just a fucking badass as well, and I love to see that. So I am a little over 100 pages into Throne of Glass and I'm absolutely loving it. I've basically read what I'm exactly describing to you, just kind of like the setup. I'm going to explain what's going on in context of the book, but I'm going to not talk about any big reveals or like massive spoilers, like character deaths or anything. So you kind of should get a feel for the series as you're watching this vlog, but you're not going to be spoiled for any major plot points. At this point, I'm absolutely loving book one, flying through it. It is so easy to read. The pacing is wonderful. I feel like I'm in the world as soon as I pick up this book. But I have to take a break now because I have to go to work, and I'm gonna just go do some fun little walking sessions in the park. I freaking love my job. I'm gonna do that, come back here, and pick up my book again. This is just really shaping up to be a phenomenal day. Hello vlog, it is actually much later. I haven't read much other than what I read this morning after my sessions. Had a little bit of a crisis, had to show up for a client. That's just the life of being a therapist. Now I'm home. We're gonna dive back into Throne of Glass. Hello vlog, it is much later. We had our little movie night and the movie was so good. I did not guess the killer at all. A couple of my patrons did in the chat. They like made their predictions and they were right. I don't know how they guessed that. It just went right over my head. Also, it was so funny. It was just really good. Highly recommend The Blackening if you like spoofy comedy horror movies. But also like it really came in clutch with the horror too. It was not just funny, so I liked it. But it wasn't too intense. It was just the perfect balance. And I am halfway through Throne of Glass. Still absolutely loving it. There is like a murderer, like a murder mystery plot almost. So I feel like this is really easy for a thriller lover to get into, at least it is for me. I'm kind of like impressed with myself that I'm super into this even without the smut. Like, I'm not gonna lie, what kept me reading the ACOTAR series was definitely the smut, and that like helped me get into the rest of it because I was invested in the character relationships. Obviously, Throne of Glass is, I don't know if it's YA, but it's definitely like younger pitched than ACOTAR or Crescent City. There's not going to be any smut, I don't think, or any explicit smut. Like there might be closed door scenes a little bit later as relationships develop, but I'm still totally into the plot even without that. So it's going really well. I will keep reading tonight and probably update you in the morning. Hey guys, it is the next morning. I'm up literally so early because I have to take my car in to get all this stuff done. Thank God my best friend's boyfriend is gonna like drive me around while I don't have my car all day. So thank God for him. We love you, Mr. Alex. But I'm exhausted because I stayed up until 3 in the morning because I had to finish this book. At 2 a.m., I'm not even kidding, pacing around while I was reading this book, literally walking around my apartment because I did not want to fall asleep. I needed to know what was going to happen. And obviously, like, knowing this is an 8-book series with Selena as our main character driving force, you can kind of assume what's gonna happen. Like, nothing terrible is gonna happen to her, or at least that's what I thought in my head. It had me on the edge of my seat thinking, I don't know how we're gonna make it past book 1. I don't know. Like, the thrills and suspense in this book were more than half of the fucking bullshit copy and paste thrillers that I read last year. I am totally sold on the fantasy genre. Safe to say, I'm here to stay. I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars because it did drag a little bit. Like there were some chapters that I felt like were kind of dragging me down and I wanted to like skim. I didn't, I did read them, but I felt myself wanting to skim to get to the action again. I think some of the more like emotional interpersonal pieces just felt like they took a little bit longer than they should have. They were just a little verbose. It was kind of giving me that feeling that I get when I read Stephen King sometimes, where it's like, I know that this is good and it's good writing and it's good information, but why are there so many pages? You know what I mean? But that's the only thing. So today I'm starting Crown of Midnight. That is the second book. Hello, I'm starting my book, eating my sushi. I noticed when I was out that I have literally been up since 7 in the morning and it's now a little after noon and I hadn't eaten anything. So I just wanted to remind you, maybe if you haven't eaten anything today, maybe you should eat. Just a quick reminder, because I know sometimes the girlies forget. I am a girly, I also forget, but your body feels good when you feed it. So maybe you should eat, girl. And I will let y'all know about this when I have thoughts. So if you're wondering what I'm making here, I have this little dollhouse bookshelf, like a blank one that I ordered on Amazon. It was super cheap and I saw somebody, I think on Instagram Reels, do this. Oh, also don't mind me watching Olivia. Miss Livy reads a latte. I was watching her romantasy vlog. Yeah, I saw somebody on like an Instagram Reel make a little tiny bookshelf. And so I ordered the shelf, I painted it myself, and then I ordered these little tiny like dollhouse accessories for like accoutrement for the shelf. And then I also ordered these little teeny tiny books. So tiny, it's literally ridiculous, these teeny tiny books, but they're gonna like go on this shelf. Like they fit on the shelf perfectly. And I have 23 of these teeny tiny books. I'm gonna try to wrap each of these books with the cover printed out of my top 23 favorite books of 2023. And it's gonna be my 2023 reads shelf. And I'm gonna try to make one every year with my top reads of the year. Isn't that so cute and fun? I feel like such a girly. I love doing this. Hello vlog, it is a little bit later. Sorry for the strange lighting. I know I have shadows all over me, but I am a quarter of the way through Crown of Midnight and it's really good so far. It picked up right where the last book left off. There was no time jump really. And now we're just following Selena in her new role post competition, and there's more like unrest in the city. There's rebels, there's like a revolution, I think, brewing underneath the surface. So we are kind of seeing what's going on with that, but also just following Selena and her relationships. That is like the more intriguing piece for me. Like, yes, I'm invested to a point in the politics of it all, but mostly I'm liking the relationships in this book. The transportation, the escapism of it all is so good. So I'm gonna keep reading and let you know what I think around the halfway point. Might not be able to update you tonight because we are going to our friend's birthday. It's just like a fun little house party. Happy birthday! Hello vlog, good morning. I have my little Valentine's Day look on. I'm about to go take some pictures, some Valentine's Day like Y2K style content. I don't have too much of an update for you because we did kind of get back late last night, but I only read like 50, 60 more pages and it's kind of just going the same, building relationships, building intrigue for the like political system that's going on, but nothing massive earth-shattering has happened. The first book was more exciting. It definitely started off more of a bang, but I'm definitely still enjoying it. We were literally just listening to Swan Lake, and the next song is AC/DC. She's got range, ladies and gentlemen. Hello vlog, it is much later. We did a little book shopping, a little hanging out. I have just been laying here reading ever since we got home. Little fun fact about Texas, but really more specifically Austin. If it's below freezing, the entire city just like shuts down. Like our power grid cannot handle it. It's like 30 something degrees outside and like nobody's doing anything. We're just like trapped in our houses. I have clients texting me like, are we still gonna have sessions this week just because it's cold? And I'm like, yeah girl. Anyway, that's what we've been doing, just like holed up in our room. And I got to page 313 of Crown of Midnight, and wow, a lot of things have happened, a lot of shocking things. Few relationship dynamics just like got turned on their head, but I'm very interested. I wasn't pissed off by anything, I'll just say that. One thing I really consistently like about Selena's character is she's never the damsel in distress. Like, it's always her male companion getting kidnapped and her having to go and try to fight for them. It's never the other way around, and I just really like that. It feels like an empowering story. Like, this is something that I would want my daughter to read, especially because it's very YA appropriate. We've had a couple of sex scenes at this point and they were all like closed door, fade to black, no smut at all. Which, I mean, would this be better if there was smut in it? Probably, for my taste, but it's definitely not taking away from the story in any way. I like it just fine and I'm still feeling invested. Probably not as invested as I was in the first book. I think the first book just had a little bit of a better structure. I will definitely be finishing it tonight and maybe starting the third, but as you saw in the B-roll, I also ran to Barnes & Noble. Anytime I hang out with that friend who I was with today, we always eventually go book shopping. Like, it's unavoidable. And I got these little sprout things to keep my books open, and that's gonna come in handy. We're gonna try them out now because I'm literally about to go make us dinner, and I'm gonna try to read Crown of Midnight while I'm cooking. So hopefully these work because I cannot stop reading. That's one thing I've been really noticing reading this series. I'm getting that classic feeling again of like, I don't want to stop reading this book. I need to know what happens, and I haven't felt that in so long. I think I was just getting so burnt out on the thriller and horror genres. This like new space is really invigorating my love for reading. So I'm loving it. I will let you know when I have more thoughts at the end of Crown of Midnight. Hello guys, it's the next morning-ish. It's the next afternoon, really. I did not go to bed until 3:30 last night, and I blame this book. I was kind of feeling like it was dragging just a touch, just a little through the latter half, but those last 80 pages, oh my God, the twists and turns that were being pulled out, I was astounded. I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. The ending was amazing, and it kind of made the draggy parts make sense a little bit. Like, obviously it still wasn't the best of the best reading experience, but I understood the building of suspense. It made the whole book seem like a setup for something much, much, much bigger in the next book. It's like, oh, things are opening up and actually so much more than we ever thought. So I'm going into the next book so excited, and I was on such a high after finishing this book that I actually went right into the 3rd book last night. I started Heir of Fire. I am about, let's see here, like 30 pages into it, so not too far, but we're following Selena on like this new branch of her mission, basically. I'm about to hop on sprints with my patrons, so I will continue to read and let you know what I'm thinking. Hello vlog. I've literally been sprinting all day for 6 hours, and I finally got a quarter of the way into Heir of Fire. Oh my god, I am not used to reading such long books. It's like I was anticipating doing this update so much, and I checked after every sprint and I was like, oh my god, I'm not to the point where I can do my quarter of the way update. So I'm very happy to be talking to you guys. But yeah, it's definitely an adjustment to read a longer book. So I'm feeling that a little bit, but I still am into the story. We're basically following 3 perspectives in this book. Obviously, we're following Selena, our badass assassin, as she discovers more about herself and magic. We're also following Mr. Kale. Don't even get me started about his name. I still call him Chol in my head, but we're following Kale Chol. He is kind of holding things down at the kingdom, and we're seeing what's going on with him as he tries to like do things from the inside, but he's still very conflicted and like doesn't know what side he's on. And then we're also following this 3rd perspective and learning about the witches in Aurelia, all the different like types of witches there are, the different covens, and how the king is wanting to utilize these different covens. At first it was kind of hard to get into. I think it's just because I didn't know the dynamics and the lore, but now that I know what's going on with the witches, I like it. Also, I had to look up what a wyvern was, and now that I know, like, that's so fucking cool. They're 2-legged dragons. So these witches are learning to ride around on wyverns, and that is somehow going to be useful. I'm intrigued, but I'm definitely feeling a little bit of the length and a little bit of the like trying to get my bearings in this book. So I'm gonna pause here. 6-hour sprints have concluded, and I am done being trapped in this house. It's freezing outside, but I gotta do something. Me and my best friend are gonna go to a little like happy hour and just try to get out of the house a little bit today, because I have a feeling people are gonna be trying to isolate in their houses all week. So I'm just gonna start out the week with a little bit of social interaction. I'm back from dinner. I didn't take any b-roll because, as always with my best friend, I forget about the world around me and we just gab down. Even though we talk every single day for hours, there's always more to debrief. There's always more to go over. But now I'm home. I was gonna sit down and read this book when I got home. That was my plan, but I had 3 espresso martinis at dinner. That was not the plan. The plan was to have 2, but an extra one was made, and our waitress was like, you seem to like espresso martinis. Do you want this one? We're about to close. Nobody's gonna drink it. So I had a 3rd one for free, and all that espresso went straight to my head. So now I'm trying to be very productive. I'm editing, and I'm also trying to finish off my like little mini bookshelf that I made, or I started making earlier. So I'm making, I'll show you, like all these little teeny tiny minuscule flat book covers for all my favorite books of the year. And I'm gonna print them out and make my little books so I can finish my little tiny bookshelf. Random espresso fueled bout of activity. We'll see how this goes. I have a question. Why am I crying about a wyvern? I was literally just tearing up. I'm not that far from the halfway point. The relationship between Manon and her wyvern, Abraxas. I am feeling like the same visceral feelings that I had like watching Harry and Hedwig's relationship grow from like, you know, just like a little animal and a human to like a deep connection. I don't know. It was like reminding me of something. I don't know, maybe reminding me of my relationship with Boba. I don't know. There's a soul connection with this fucking dragon, y'all, and I'm feeling it. Cameron woke me up with like the best breakfast ever. He made steak and eggs because he had a half day for the freeze that's happening. So that was nice, and I've just been working and reading my book and working and reading my book, and I have like a lot of breaks throughout my sessions today, so it's nice to just like read something like cozy and not activating in between. And especially that last chapter with sweet Abraxas. I love him. Doing my day, and I will let you know when I have more thoughts, but damn, that was a good chapter. Hello vlog. It is much later. It's actually after midnight. I've been reading since after dinner, and I'm over 400 pages into Heir of Fire. I never thought that I could read such dense, I mean it's not super dense, but like such lore heavy fantasy this fast. I cannot put it down, but I'm so tired that I have to. It's so good. I love the 3 different plot lines that we're following, but I can't wait to see them come together, and I kind of like feel that happening. The anticipation, the suspense, all of it is so good, and we're getting to know especially the newer characters so much. Like I love this book. I think it's my favorite of the series so far. I know like a lot of people's favorite is Crown of Midnight. I guess this is an unpopular opinion. Heir of Fire is my favorite so far, but I'm so tired. I have to go to bed, and I'm gonna finish up the book tomorrow morning and let you know my final review. Holy fucking shit. Oh, I need a moment. I need probably several moments. Sorry, I look literally insane. I immediately woke up, did not set foot out of bed. I literally just leaned over, picked the shit up, and started reading because I needed to finish it. I finished it just now. Tell me why I was waiting for more book. I wanted the book to be longer when it was 600 pages. Yeah, I don't know what kind of effect this series is having on my brain, but I've unlocked a new skill. It's like, boom, achievement unlocked. Like I can read long books, because when you care about the characters this much, it becomes easy. I feel like Heir of Fire was just all about the characters. I didn't get bored with any of the storylines. I was very happy with the way that they were interwoven. In fact, it was like as soon as one started to drag, another one would come in and pick up the pace, and I would be so happy about it. Every single character had a clearly defined arc, and even though I know that the series is going to continue and they're going to like change even more, just like reading this book alone, every character had an arc, and I just really appreciated that. Y'all know, if you watch my channel, I'm a very character driven reader. I love the whole witch plot line, like witches and wyverns. Yes, give me more. I also, y'all, I had to pull out the highlighter. It takes a lot for me to start highlighting a book, because usually I'm just like a page turner. Obviously, you can tell by the way that I'm gushing about this book, I gave it 5 stars. Wow, I'm so ready to dive into the next book. I'm gonna be moving on next to Queen of Shadows, and this is 80 pages longer than the last one, so still very intimidating, but if I could handle Heir of Fire, I feel like I'm good going forward. And I'm also gonna be buddy reading this one with Aspen. I'm so excited. excited. I will let you know when I'm into this, but I have to work. I have to like be human, get myself ready for the day. So I will see you later. Hello vlog, I'm just off work and oh my god, I'm so excited to pour a glass of wine, make a good dinner, and read Queen of Shadows. Oh my gosh, I posted on my Instagram that I'm like starting this book and everyone's so sweet saying like yay about my fantasy journey. So I am just like loving it here in Fantasyland. It is so great. And me and Aspen are literally gonna start reading at the exact same time. I have to get these chickpeas in the oven in 8 minutes so I can start reading at 7 o'clock. And I'm just so excited. And what if we all just empowered ourselves by pouring a glass of wine at the end of the day and reading a book about fae men? What if we all just did that? Wouldn't the world be a better place? Hello vlog, it is way too late yet again, but I wanted to update you on Queen of Shadows because I am already a third of the way through. I could not stop reading. I wanted to get to like this one specific part, like the whole first third was building up to this one little like adventurous mission of it all, and so I wanted to read through that part and it was really good. I am liking the way that we're kind of establishing a rhythm with this series. The structure of this one is very similar to Heir of Fire, which obviously I loved and I gave 5 stars, so I'm enjoying it. I feel like this one is more plot centered than the last one. Heir of Fire was very character development centric, and this one is more about the plotting and like moving alliances and things along, even like calling upon past characters from past books that are coming back and like having a say in alliances and things like that, which is really interesting. But there's also a lot to remember. The writing really makes it easy to do. I think this is a very easy to grasp series, even though there's a lot of moving parts going on. So I really applaud Miss Sarah for that, because as a new to the fantasy genre reader, this could be really overwhelming and intimidating for me, but I have it totally grasped. I'm loving it. We have the same 3 perspectives as Heir of Fire. So our main character, Selena, which we've been following her from the beginning. Then we have the perspective that I just keep calling the boys, because it's like most of the male characters in the kingdom, like Kale, good old Kale, Dorian, and then another more prominent character that I'm not going to spoil his relationship to the other characters, but he is a big part of the story now. And then we have the same Witches and Wyverns storyline from the last book that's continuing on, and I really like that one. I feel like that storyline is just palpable. Like, I know the dynamic, I can feel the dynamic, I know the characters well. It's very visceral, the imagery is very strong, and something about Abraxas, Manon, our main witch's wyvern, I just love him so much. I feel such a strong attachment to Abraxas. Like, if Abraxas dies in this series, it would be equivalent to like Dobby's death for me. Like, that would really rip my heart out, to be totally real. And I feel like I've made a couple Harry Potter comparisons. I just feel like I have to preface, that is like the only reference point that I have for the fantasy genre is when I read the Harry Potter books in 3rd grade. So I will probably get more into the book tomorrow and update you in the morning. Hello vlog, good morning. It is actually, It's been a couple days. I just randomly got super busy with work and I'm literally still busy now, but I wanted to hop in and say something before I read more, and then I came back after like reading 450 pages to give you an update. I am now 2/3 of the way into Queen of Shadows, loving it. It is very verbose. Me and Aspen have been talking about it. There are a lot of pages and a lot of words for not much happening. Like the action scenes when you get there are so good. I think it's masterfully done. I absolutely love it. But all of the build up to that just seems like a little much. I do think it's worth it because the action scenes are so good, but I guess like the character development has kind of come to a little bit of a standstill or a lag, I guess you would call it. That's how I'm feeling about it, but I'm still liking it and steadily working my way through it, even though I am busy at work. Like, I get so excited to finish work and pick up this book, which I haven't felt that way about a book in a while. I will probably get a chance to finish this one up tonight. I will let you know when I do. We're about to witness a proposal. Oh my god, I was like, wait, a proposal happening. Oh my god, y'all. I feel blessed to witness this moment.
Is this engaged, girl?
Literally,
we've been engaged. We know what this is like.
Been engaged. Is this how people thought that I was? Like,
They were like, oh,
when they were watching my proposal. Like, seriously,
oh,
I was in public. You were squirreled away.
we were schooled away at my house.
Oh my god.
Two viewers.
Yeah, we're gonna join the crowd. Did it already happen?
I don't think so. It's the photographer, the guy.
Tell me why. we had so many options. I went with deconstructed chicken pot pie.
Full size.
The full size. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Yeah. Holy shit. Holy shit. I only have 140 pages left and this is so good. Like, when I tell you this is so good right now. That last scene, the action that I was wanting, why am I not focused? The action that I was wanting is here. People are coming to their senses. We're talking about character development, we're talking about arcs, and we're talking about action. This is what I've been waiting for, Sarah. Thank you for coming through. Her. That's all I have to say. Her. Yeah, it was a slow start. We were putting a lot of pieces together. Okay, there's a lot of plots and subplots going on in this book, but the payoff was so worth it. It was like an epic battle. It was like playing out like a movie in my head. It was so nostalgic in a way, even though I've never read this series before. The emotion, obviously you saw in those B-roll clips, I was literally sobbing, crying. All of the character development that we spent time with in Air of Fire, plus all of the like plotting and little tiny pieces and all the talking and conversations in the first 2/3 of this book, all came to a head at the last third of this book. The last 200 pages of this book were so phenomenal. I have to give this 5 stars. Like, I'm simply left with no choice. I'm throwing my hands up and just giving this 5 stars. Like, we're basically seeing our main character come into her queendom. Her arc is so impressive. I love seeing Farah's character develop over the course of ACOTAR, but I feel like she was the same Farah through everything. And this main character is very, very different. She takes what she learns and it feels like it really shapes the fiber of who she is, rather than just being like the same person who's learned lessons, which is kind of like how I feel about Farah. I don't know, something about Farah is she was a little bit more like human feeling to me, and this main character feels like otherworldly. Like she feels like the most badass queen who could ever live, like unattainable. But I just absolutely loved it. I absolutely love the plot with the witches and the wyverns. I'm so glad that I bought into that in Airfire, because it had a big role in this book, and it's only gonna get bigger. Like I feel like that plot line's really gonna take off in the latter half of the series. We're moving on to what I have been referring to as like simultaneously the main event of this video, but also like the most terrifying part, which is my tandem read. So the next two books in the series are Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms, and these take place during the same exact time. So they have the same timeline, but we're following events in two different places. There's a lot of discourse on the internet about how to go about reading these. Some people just choose one and read it before the other, but then you get spoiled for the other book because obviously the events are like interwoven and happening at the same time. Some people just skip one entirely and get all the information from one book, but then you kind of like miss out on seeing the action for half of the events. And a lot of people have been suggesting doing a tandem read, which I've never done before, but I'm excited to do it. I'm going to do that for this vlog, where I'm basically going to sit down right now and split up the books. I have a little guide. I'm just following this PDF that kind of tells me the order in which to read the chapters. I'm going to go through and tab these books so I know when to switch to the next one. I'm very intimidated because this is going to be a long reading experience. Both of these books are like around 700 pages. So I'm going to be reading about 1,300 pages of the same storyline, which I very much am wanting after Queen of Shadows, because I know that like, okay, this is another thing that I didn't really mention during Queen of Shadows. I feel like the end of that book could be the end of a series. Like everything kind of came to this standstill, but at the same time, since there are so many subplots going on, I can just see all these different threads. Like there's all these different options of like places that we could go in these two books. But I liked at the end of Queen of Shadows that it simultaneously felt like something had come to a satisfying end. I don't think I've really gotten that from the previous books in the series, but I'm also still hyped up and excited for these books. It didn't make me want to stop reading. So I'm gonna go tab through these, get ready for my tandem read, and then I will probably try to get a start on it tonight. It's super late. I think it's like 11:30, but I just feel like I have to get a start on it tonight or I'm gonna be intimidated going into it tomorrow. All right, so I will be switching off between these books. I just counted my tabs 50 times. 50 times I'll have to do the switcheroo. I feel like this is such a big undertaking. Like, who does this? I don't know. Do you casual fantasy readers really do this? Okay, we're starting out with Empire Storms. Here we go. Good morning, vlog. I did not start the tandem read. I was supposed to have an update for you, but it was literally, by the time I was done tabbing, like 12:40 at night. So I was not about to do that and like get into new lore at that point in the evening. Also, I knew I had to get up early. Cameron just got his hair cut. Slay! He looks so cute. And now we're just going to do some little vintage shopping. There's like a little vintage pop-up. So we're gonna go to lunch, have ourselves a little day, and I will let y'all know when I get into this tandem read. Okay, I'm doing my first switch. 5 chapters in to Empire of Storms, switching to Tower of Dawn. Hello vlog, I am about 150 pages into both of the books, like combined. Like I'm about 115 into one and 35 into the other. Don't mind the fuzz in my hair. Boba was just ripping apart a llama while she laid on me. It's a slog. I'm not gonna lie, there have been like 4 scenes over the course of 150 pages that were exciting and worthwhile. First 75 pages of Empire of Storms was a slog. The entirety of Tower of Dawn so far has been a slog. I'm just really trying to work my way through to see what happens, because obviously I'm invested at this point, but this has been the hardest portion to read in the series so far. I have to get ready to go out tonight, so I'm gonna do that, but when I read more, I will let you know. Good morning. Literally just woke up, just opened my eyes, and I'm getting into Tower of Dawn. Let's go. What?
If there's ever leftover bacon, you're dealing with a bunch of sissies.
Hello vlog. I have done almost nothing today but make breakfast with Cam and read, and it's paid off because I am now a third of the way through my tandem read. I'm making good progress. I am 230 pages into Tower of Dawn and 220 something pages into Empire of Storms, so 450 pages down out of like 1300. I think that is pretty good. As for how I'm liking it, Tower of Dawn for me is really hard to get through. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of dreading picking it up. Every time I have to switch over, like I hit a tab in Empire of Storms, I'm like, oh fuck. Empire of Storms is amazing though. It has so much action. The first like 75 pages were all like set up and it was kind of slow, but now that we're in it, like every scene feels like high stakes, feels like action, feels like emotion, and all the like main characters that we're following are in Empire of Storms. I even cried at chapter 18 of Empire of Storms. It was so good. So I'm loving this one. Drags me down every time I have to switch over to Tower of Dawn. It's just not hitting like Empire of Storms is hitting. It is taking place in a southern continent, which we've never been in before. Kale, our King Kale, is there. I don't really love those characters. I don't really feel connected to them. I'm not a big Kale fan. I haven't really been from the beginning. So that's kind of where I'm at. I am about to hop onto sprints with my Patreon, so hopefully I will make some more progress. Hello vlog. It is 2 in the morning. I did make it to halfway through the tandem read. So yay. And I actually am more invested in Tower of Dawn now. I feel like it's still going slower just because it takes place like mostly in the same setting. and mostly with the same people every single chapter, whereas Empire of Storms, there's a lot of stuff going on, multiple different subplots, multiple different locations, many different characters, but it's kind of like converging now. Like I see where the goals intersect. I'm really having a good time with it. But y'all, I have to go to bed. I'm gonna go to bed now. I'm not even changing. I'm gonna wear my little vintage Lacoste to bed and feel like I'm Alex Turner's dream woman. Rainy day activities, putting away my laundry, and she's helping. Thank you, Miss Boba. We appreciate your service. My little wyvern. Yes, you're my little wyvern. Hello. I haven't seen y'all all day. I've just had like a very busy Monday. Here comes Boba jingling in the room. Do you want to say hello? She's been my buddy all day, y'all. She's just like very attached to me today. I don't know what it is, but I have had such a busy day. I've gotten so much stuff done around the house. It's been great. I had like a little coffee chat to consult with a colleague, which is so hard when you're in like an individual profession, which therapy definitely is, to like meet colleagues and other people in your field. I find it hard to like put myself out there like that, especially being in such like an introverted profession. So I was proud of myself for doing that, and I've just been so productive. I still have to go to work later tonight, so it's just like a jam-packed day, but I'm looking forward to picking up my tandem read tonight. I think I'm gonna try to get to the 75% mark. I still have my like little page goal for the day. Look what I come home to. Happy Valentine's. Happy Valentine's to me. Thank you, sir.
Don't cancel me.
Love you. He doesn't love me back.
Me too. The camera was still on. My God.
Holy shit. Holy shit. It's midnight, so I have to go to bed because I have to work in the morning. But holy shit. I am almost 2/3 of the way through. I have to put the book down, but like some of the best scenes in the entire series were just in this book. But Tower of Dawn, it is so boring. I start to fall asleep every time I pick it up. Empire of Storms, that's where it's at. Hi! I am still in my Skims because I told myself I'm not getting out of bed until I finish this tandem read. So I laid my ass down and I finished all 1,300 pages of this tandem read, and I have thoughts. I do suggest doing the tandem read if you're going to read this series. I think it's the best way to take in the story. However, I have thoughts. Tower of Dawn was my least favorite book in the series so far. I only gave it a 3-star rating. It was not great, although I did want to give it more than the 2-star that my brain wanted to give it, because overall the contributions to the series and the story did justify my reading it and everything. But I do think it was entirely too verbose. Like, this did not need to be 700 pages. It all happened within very limited perspectives and very limited settings, whereas this one, I can see how it needed to take up 700 pages. This one definitely did not. This could have been the size of Crown of Midnight. I think it's a little ridiculous that the length of this was dragged out. This one though, Empire of Storms, I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars. Oh my God. Other than the little bit of a draggy, slow start that was difficult to get into, and a couple other little annoying things that I'll talk about in a second, this was an amazing book. It didn't feel like 700 pages at all. The last half of this book really was the saving grace of the tandem read. I was motivated to get through these chapters in order to switch over and read these chapters. I definitely would have DNF'd this if not for the tandem read. read. The action scenes in this book, me and Aspen were texting about it, like we were holding our breath. We could not wait to see what was gonna happen. It was unpredictable. It had me on the edge of my seat. I am obsessed. I never thought that I could get that thriller feeling with a fantasy series, and Empire of Storms definitely did that. The only like annoying thing, sometimes the writing style, like obviously I know what I'm getting into with a YA fantasy series. Sarah J Maas is like known to be kind of cringe with her writing, and I do think she's a talented writer, but there are some of those cringe moments that I was like, okay. And she does tend to overuse the same few phrases that I really just think we could have a lot more variation around. Aspen brought to my attention the vulgar gesture kind of phrase. She uses the phrase vulgar gesture referring to like a middle finger so often. Anytime someone's like mildly annoyed, they give a vulgar gesture, and she can't just say it in a different way. It's always a vulgar gesture. I don't know if she has to say it that way because the series is YA, but at the same time, all the characters are now over 18 and there is smut. So if you can talk about where the Fae princes are touching the witches, I'm pretty sure you can say she flicked them off. And I noticed the phrase armed to the teeth. Oh my God, anytime someone picked up weapons, they were armed to the teeth. Anytime someone was intimidating, they were armed to the teeth. Like that phrase, we need to die. It needs to die. We have to kill it, Sarah. Do not use it again. And the last thing that kind of got me in these books, I was really looking forward to Empire of Storms because it's kind of where more of the romance and smut kicks in. This is definitely more of a fantasy series with the romance kind of driving it and a little bit of the motivation, but it's definitely not the main part of the story. However, that kind of kicks up a little bit in Empire of Storms. So I was looking forward to it, but I was a little tad disappointed by a couple of the pairings, and I thought a lot of the smut was cringe. Like the Akatar smut, I don't know, she was doing something different. I was in it. I was obsessed. The smut in this book, it's just the same phrases over and over and over. It makes it feel less special with each couple that we spend time with because it all feels kind of like copy and paste, especially with the phrases. Me personally, in my experience, I've never had someone intentionally kiss the corner of my mouth and then move over and kiss the other corner of my mouth. I just think that kind of sounds like a weird and awkward thing to do. And if somebody did that to me, I would be like, what's going on here? Like, can you just kiss my mouth? But every single couple had that happen where it was like, he kissed the corner of her mouth and then the other corner. He kissed her once, twice, on each corner. Like, why are we doing that? Weird. So those are my like little annoyances that I just kind of thought were funny, but overall, I absolutely loved the tandem read. I feel so accomplished that I read 1,350 pages, and I feel very prepared to go into Kingdom of Ash, which is 980 pages. So we're moving on to the last book. Honestly, I'm terrified. I've heard that this is just a lot of death, a lot of tears, and I was already crying through Empire of Storms. We will see how this goes. Holy shit. Oh my God. Over the course of today, in between work and we were filming the podcast today, I read nearly 300 pages of this book. What's going on? It is so hard to not talk spoilers right now, but I'm keeping this spoiler free. So I'm just gonna say, holy shit. The level of intrigue, the level of action in this book, the first few chapters were not really giving. I would say it took about 100 pages for me to feel thoroughly invested. After those 100 pages, something happened. Now at page around 300, I cannot put it down. I'm almost a third of the way through after one day. I am torn because I don't want to say goodbye to these characters. I also know people are gonna die. So I'm very scared for this final confrontation, but at the same time, I'm so ready to know the outcome, like how this series is going to end, what's gonna happen, who's gonna make it out alive. Oh my God. Okay, this is going really well. I will probably update you at the 50% mark. But for now, I've got to go to bed. I've got to get sleep, and I will see you in the morning. Hello vlog. It is the next day. I just got off work, and y'all, I don't know if y'all are gonna believe this. This is the fastest I've read anything ever. I am 500 pages into Kingdom of Ash. I have read 500 pages in less than 24 hours. What's going on? This is by far the most high stakes, riveting book of the entire series. Everything is coming to a head. It just feels so much bigger than how the series started out. Like, I keep reflecting on that the first few books were like so small. Like, they still were so good and they still stand out to me. I still love them, but it was one palace and the things that went on in the palace. This is a world, okay? This is a world war. It's crazy. The like back and forth of like they win a battle and then they lose a battle and it's like hopeful and then it's hopeless and it's like a roller coaster ride. I am loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I don't have any plans for the rest of this evening other than reading my book and making cookies and hanging out with the dogs. So it's gonna be a nice, cozy Friday night in, and I'm so happy about it. Are you ready to make some cookies? Yes, she is. I feel like I am unintentionally doing one of those like silent book reviews. I hate that trend, by the way. Does anyone else think that trend is so fucking stupid? Like, I don't know. When I'm listening to a book review, I want a review. I don't get it. But I just had to go nonverbal for a second because, oh my God, I finished Kingdom of Ash. I finished the Throne of Glass series. What? I read all these fucking books, over 5,000 pages in just a couple weeks. I read this chunk of an almost 1,000-page book in 2 or 3 sittings. Because when I dove in, I did not want to leave. I absolutely fucking loved this last book. I gave it a 4.75 out of 5. The only reason why I knocked off 0.25 was because it was too long. Okay, it didn't need to be that long. It was a little verbose. I felt like we were going back and forth over the same stuff, especially at the very end, like after the whole battle and all of that was over and we were dealing with the aftermath. We had like basically 75 to 80 pages of like epilogue. And I was like, okay, I get it. Like, these characters didn't make it out. These ones did. And it's going to be a happy ever after for these people, but obviously it's a tragedy for the other people. Like, I don't know why we had to talk about that for 80 pages. Maybe she was just trying to give us some type of closure, but I was closed. Okay, I was done at that point. I was trying to grieve, so I wanted to close the book. That was the only thing that kind of annoyed me about Kingdom of Ash. Otherwise, it was phenomenal. I loved the way that this ended. It was a great end to the series. It felt like all of the content I had read before was leading up to this book, and I love the way everything was handled. I love the way the magic system was further developed and the way that this world opened up and we really got to know the politics and the structure. It felt so much bigger than that initial Assassin's Blade set of novellas. I couldn't believe as I was reading that all those threads were connecting back to the first book, even though the feel of the book was so different at this last installment of this series. Obviously, I was crying through like half of this book. I was literally sat there sobbing for like, there's like 100 and something chapters in here, like 120 chapters in here. I was probably sobbing through 40 of them. Like, I don't know why the emotional weight of this book just hit me. All the characters that we've spent so much time with. Oh my God, I just love them. I loved this book. I loved it. I loved it. And I have now finished my very first ever fantasy series that I've read physically as an adult. That's a lot of qualifiers, but like, listen, I just feel very happy and proud of myself that I did this. Overall, I would say Throne of Glass is a 5-star series. Like, there was only one book that I rated below 4 stars. Tower of Dawn was a little bit of a slog to get through. The tandem read did help, but every other book I really thoroughly enjoyed. I loved the world, I loved the characters, and I'm already seeing like different little connections. Like, I saw a connection to ACOTAR in here. I'm hearing rumblings about the connections of this series and Crescent City. Obviously, the third Crescent City book probably just came out when you are watching this. It will be at my house the day that it comes out. I pre-ordered it. So the next fantasy vlog that you're going to see from me will probably be the 3 books that are out for Crescent City already, which I believe on their own, they're like almost 3,000 pages. So we're going to do another chunk of a fantasy vlog. This is not a one-off occurrence. I'm very excited to be in my fantasy era, and I hope that you guys liked being along for the ride. Let me know what you think of Throne of Glass if you've read this series. Thank you so much for watching. I know this was probably like a movie length vlog, so thank you for being here if you made it to the end. If you like this video, go ahead and give me a like and subscribe to my channel if you want, if you liked it here. I do not just talk about fantasy, I talk a lot about thrillers, horror, romance, and now I'm in my fantasy era, so I'm gonna be going into all the fantasy that I missed when I wasn't in my fantasy enjoying moment. So subscribe to watch me go along that journey, and recommend me things down below if you want to see a vlog of any other popular fantasy series. I probably have not read it. I only read literally this in ACOTAR, so please let me know. I want to read Jade City, I want to read the Grishaverse, I want to read all of these things, so leave me more recs down below. And don't forget to go to therapy and read a book this week. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!